I'm Michael Reel, and this is REELURBANNEWS.com. We are at the Staples Center here in Los Angeles, California. It is here that we speak with Lakers commentator, Stu Lantz.
We have Stu here.
Hey, how are you?
Stu, this is Michael.
I'm good, thank you. And you?
I'm well. Happy New Year.
Thank you. Same to you.
Thank you for your kind.
Stu Lantz, thank you for being with REELURBANNEWS.com.
Michael, thank you for having me.
What has it been like, 25 years with the legendary Los Angeles Lakers?
Honestly, it's been like a dream because when you're doing something that you really love to do, you really can't look at it as work per se. And then when you get to do it with the best franchise, and I was fortunate enough to do it with the best announcer that ever lived.
Sure.
For 15 years, Chick and I worked together. So it's just been like a dream for me, and hopefully this dream will go on for just a few more years.
A few more years. You spent 9 years playing in the NBA. How did you transition from the court to becoming a commentator?
Good question, because I'm supposed to be teaching elementary school. I'm a third grade teacher.
Sure.
by trade. You know, that's what my degree's in. I retired, and I had a friend that was in television. And I retired, and they said, you know, you might make a pretty good analyst. And I thought, no way, because I didn't take any journalism courses in college or anything. I'm strictly education major. And I thought, no. So they, unbeknownst to me, they contacted CBS, and they asked them, and CBS called me and asked me to do an audition. And I said, well, what do I have to lose? And I did the audition, and I've been broadcasting ever since.
You had to be nervous the first time out?
Well, the audition was, it really wasn't nervousness as opposed to just something that I was doing anyhow. Because you do exactly what I do.
Sure.
People that love sports or watch basketball or football, whatever the case may be, you sit in your living room and you comment on the game. You
Sure.
comment on what a player did, what you think he should have done, and things of that nature. That's exactly what I do. So it wasn't like going into a job that you're really nervous about how you're going to do. Most people get nervous just with the fact of thinking that there may be millions of people watching.
Sure.
But
sure.
you know, you don't really see those millions, so
Right.
I didn't think of it that way. So I really wasn't that nervous.
Let's talk about your 15 years with the legendary voice, Chick Hearn. What was that like?
Oh, that was the best. That was the absolute best. And I tell all of the announcers that have followed him that no disrespect to any of them, but there will never, ever be another Chick Hearn. He was the standard by which all other announcers are measured. He set the bar so high. His lingo, the way he has taken basketball, and all the jargon that you hear in basketball basically was coined by Chick, whether it's slam, dunk, dribble, drive. Those are all phrases that he coined. And so everybody owes a little bit to Chick, but it was the absolute best working beside Chick Hearn.
Can't sit here with you and not talk about your relationship with the players. We live in a instant media second. It used to be 24 hours, now it's instant. Sometimes the players are doing well on the court, sometimes they're struggling or having challenges publicly. How do you, as an analyst, prepare? Let's say when a Kobe is having maybe more challenges off court than on court, or some of the other players. How do you prepare for that as an analyst?
Well, I try to separate the two because as a player, you have to, as hard as it may be, you have to separate the two. So once the ball is tossed up, once you step between the lines, now you're at work. Now it's what you did off the court doesn't enter into it. For 2 hours, that's their sanctum to just let that go. So I do the same thing. If they've had problems off the court, I try not to bring that into my broadcast.
Sure.
Because it really, unless it was something that happened on the court and then went off the court and magnified itself, I let it go. I don't like to bring their off the court stuff into the office.
How have you maintained this stellar personality here in this the number 2 media market in the country, with global eyes looking at you? You have a stellar personality, a stellar record.
Well, I think it's more the family unit that does it, you know. Fortunately, I don't know whether it's fortunate or unfortunate. I've got the best of both worlds. I work in Los Angeles. I live in San Diego. So I commute to the games. Not that that's a bad thing living in Los Angeles, but I think it really sets me in a position where I don't have to deal with it on a 24/7 basis at the level that I would if I lived here. I still deal with it in San Diego because people know me there as well. I mean, the Laker games are seen all over the United States. So people know me there, but not nearly as much as it would be if I lived here in Los Angeles. Plus, I'm not a party guy. You know, I'm a family guy. My idea of having a great time when I'm not working is being home with the family. You know, having a good time with my wife and my kids and grandkids.
What's your routine like before you go on air and start broadcasting?
Well, for a 7:30 game, we usually have a production meeting at 5 o'clock, go over all the elements of what the truck and what the announcers want to talk about and what we're going to talk about, show us a little bit of the footage that they're going to be using. Then after 5 o'clock, we have a pre-game that we have to do at 5:30. That goes to the network. And then from 5:30 until basically 7:15, we're pretty much free to do some things, although on home games, I have responsibilities with some reception groups, sponsors that pay the bills, the big sponsors. I go talk to them, give them a little recap of the game that night, or answer any questions they may have about the Lakers.
What's the environment like as we walk around this chair? What's the environment like in the Staples Center these days? You've seen it at its peak. What's it like being your game side, court side?
Well, it's always exciting being here. It's just a different crowd here than most other arenas because of where we are located. You know, there's always a little bit of an electric buzz going through this crowd. They've been so spoiled over the franchise's history. When you win 16 titles, you know you can spoil some people, and that's the way the Laker fans and the crowd are here. But it's always fun. Just you start feeling as soon as they open the doors and let the general public in, you get that vibe starting to go, and it just carries itself throughout the game.
We're here now, well before the game starts. Maybe it's because I haven't been here in quite some time, but I feel the buzz in the air now.
Yeah, you can get it. And it's amazing how it works. You know, you just walk in the building, there's nobody here. It's not quite the same. It's just a very big, spacious building. But as soon as people start to come in, whether it's players warming up early or whatever the case may be, you start feeling that vibe about what's going to get about to transpire. It makes it fun to be here.
Where are you broadcasting from in this building tonight?
I like being up. We have never been on the court for our home games, so we normally sit right up there where it says Time Warner Cable Sports Net. That's right up there, and that's to me the best seat in the league because I don't have to worry about people being in front of me. To me, to do my job, I like to look down on the court so I can see things develop. When you sit courtside, you don't see things develop as easily. You got coaches standing in front of you, you got a referee standing in front of you, and then you have to filter your vision through 10 bodies. It makes it hard to do what I like to do, so I like being up.
All right.
Talk about your health regimen. You look great.
Well, I'm very, very fortunate in that regard. My metabolism is still pretty high. I can't.
You want to give me a shot of it? Touch me, please.
I can't gain weight if I try. I mean, I eat, and I can't gain weight. And I'm not the best eater in the world as far as my diet, because I love sweets. My mother used to always have something sweet for us to eat in the evening after dinner or something. We weren't very wealthy at all, but there was one thing we had at home. We had love and we had food on the table.
Talk about, if you will, some of the highlights of your career. I know we spoke about you working with Chick Hearn. That had to be, obviously a highlight. But what about some of the games and some of the buzzer beater situations in which you can recall a couple? I know you had so many.
I think the most recent buzzer beater that people around Los Angeles are aware of is Derek Fisher's .4 when the Lakers beat the San Antonio Spurs down in San Antonio. That was remarkable. But back into the 80s when Magic Johnson, James Worthy, and the rest of that, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, when that crew was roaming the court, there were so many highlights that they're just too numerous to just get into. I just am very blessed that I not only got to work with the best announcer that ever lived, but I got to announce the games when Magic, Kareem, James Worthy, Byron Scott, Michael Cooper, Kurt Rambis, A.C. Green. The list just goes on and on, and that was really an amazing time. Not that now is an amazing time, because again, I've had the opportunities to have Shaq, Kobe and the like. So it's really been a fortunate development for me personally, but it all is a tribute to this franchise and what they do about bringing the entertainment to their spectators.
What's your relationship with the players?
Well, I think I have a good relationship with all of them. Obviously, they don't always agree with what I say about them, but at the same time, they understand that I have a job to do.
Sure.
And just like they have a job to do. But my relationship with them is, I think, pretty good.
You brought up family and your upbringing and talked about how important family is. When you think back and reflect back on your life, what about your parents? What did they tell you? What did they instill in you that settled you at such a young age in such a transitional time in American culture and American history, and you're still here and still shining?
Well, I think a lot of what I do today obviously is because of my parents and the way they brought myself and my two sisters up. I was fortunate. I had a two-parent household.
Sure.
You know, and there are so many homes that are broken. When I say broken, either the father or the mother is not there for whatever the reason. I was very, very lucky. I had two loving parents that brought us up in the right way, and if I had it to do over again, there would be not one thing about my childhood regarding the way my parents and everything brought us up. I wouldn't change one iota of it.
Wow. As we prepare to close, what's your forecast, if you will, for this sport basketball and moving further into the 21st century?
Well, the game itself, it doesn't really change. So there's not going to be that much change in the game. Where the change comes is in the performers.
Okay.
That's where the change is. Each generation just gets bigger, stronger, faster, better. That's why records, the old adage, records are made to be broken, and they're going to be broken because the athletes are so much better.
How important is education for young people to grasp a hold to? Although they're athletic, you got to have some education.
You know, I'm too old school for that one. Now, you know, I've had this discussion with not only youngsters in high school.
Sure.
I used to run a program where I would talk to the troubled teens, the ones that were not coming to school, the ones that were failing in school, just trying to focus their attention on the road down the educational path. Because without education, everything becomes that much more difficult.
Final question. What's next for you in terms of broadcasting and maybe down the road?
Well, I truly love what I'm doing right now. I'm not one of those that ever had aspirations of being a play-by-play guy or something. I did that twice. Both times Chick Hearn lost his voice, and I had to sit in for him, and
Sure.
I didn't like it at all.
Sure.
Didn't like it at all. I like my position so much. I've turned down numerous opportunities, whether it be coaching or things of that nature.
Sure.
I really enjoy what I do because what I do enables me to have more time with my family. Coaching is a 24/7 thing.
Sure.
I don't want it to be 24/7. I want my job, so to speak, to be what it is. But when the game and the job ends for the day, I want to be able to go home and spend with family.
Stu Lantz, thank you for being with ReelUrbanNews.com.
Michael, thank you for
Thank you for
spending
wonderful
some time with me.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Thanks a
My
great
pleasure.
deal. All right.